how's everyone doing today? We're doing great, Jim. Yeah. I'm doing great. I love SEO and internet marketing. I've been doing this for more than 16 years. It's been my life's passion. So we have an hour today, and I'm going to cover a lot of topics today, and I'm going to go a little bit fast because I do have a lot of slides, but I'll try and work some stories into my presentations as well. So we're going to talk about Google updates, link building, and a whole bunch of more things. You may know some of my communities. We have, of course, our Internet Marketing Ninja blog, or iBlog, and Bonnie Stefanik blogs, and Ann Smarty blogs, and we have a lot of really good people that are blogging for us. I'm the owner of Webmaster World, SEO Chat, ThreadWatch, the DevShed forums, and Create a Site forums. Like I said, I've been in this business for over 16 years. Years ago, I met a guy called Matt Cutts, and he introduced me to Larry Page and Sergey Brin, and I happened to get an autograph of The Anatomy of a Large-Scale Hypertextual Search Engine, which was the original paper written by Larry Page and Sergey Brin and Craig Silverstein. This is the stuff I love. All right, so let's get into this. Whenever I go to these conferences and I talk to people, like everyone always says, Jim, I'm a white hat. I don't do anything wrong. And they say, they think their SEO is like Snow White. Yeah, we'll talk about her a little bit later. But many of you woke up one day and you said, where's my site? See her yesterday, can't find it. Boom, and rankings went through the floor. And you're like, oh, blank. And so, you freaked out a little bit. And no, you didn't just freak out a little bit, you really freaked out. You freaked out so bad your cat freaked out. And then you cried. It was number one yesterday, penalized today. And then you kind of go through these stages, and, you get mad. Google's evil. They just want our AdWords money, right? So everyone screams. But today I'm going to talk a little bit about Google updates and what they are and how not to get hit by a penalty and how to survive and thrive in the future. Because I'm sure that everyone here thinks, I'm not going to get hit by a penalty. And just because you haven't been hit yet, Panda 4.2 is slowly rolling out like over the next few months, and you could get hit. And it's definitely good to be aware of these items, whether you've been hit or you haven't, because no one wants to get hit. So here's some manual actions that you can see in Webmaster Tools. So if you have a hit in traffic, first thing you're going to want to do is, now it's called Webmaster Console, but it used to be called the Webmaster Tools. And you want to go in there to see if you have any manual penalty. And so here's someone they got the double whammy penalty. They got the unnatural links to your site, which is one of the most popular penalties. And then they got the thin content with little or no added value. So it's kind of like the top thing is more a penguin issue. You have bad backlinks, and the second thing is your content sucks as well. And so it's like you got a panda, and so it's like the panda is kind of giving you the finger, and the penguin is giving you the finger. And what you got to realize is that Google is looking at what SEOs do. And then they filter and penalize as many unnatural link patterns as they can find. So part of this goal is don't have unnatural patterns. So if they find the unnatural or low quality patterns, then you get spanked with a penalty. Whack. So Panda, there has been so many updates with Panda. I think if we started to number them, you can see like they went up to Panda number 23 or something, or 25, and then they went a long time. They had an update on September 23rd, nearly a year ago, and then they've recently rolled out Panda 4.2 on July the 17th. Now this is going to be rolling out over the course of a few months, so you may be hit, you just don't know it yet. But Panda is all about your content. Okay. Google Panda update, what do you mean my content sucks? That's what everyone says too, because everyone's like, I got good original content. No, most of you don't. Most of you, here was the original website. You had a nice little website, maybe you had a 1,000-page website, and I don't know, maybe you're making $1,000 a month. And then one day you're like, oh, Gee, if I had a 100,000 page website, I'd be making 100,000 a month. How much content can I get and how cheap can I get it? Because I need 100,000 new pages of content. And so that was the game for years, was going around and being like, how much content can I get and how little can I spend on it? Or can I spin it? Or can I do something like, how do I generate these pages? Because if I have 99,000 more pages, then, well, each page is going to target one specific phrase, and you're going to end up doing this to your site. And that's what a lot of people did. They took their little website that was at the beginning and they turned it into that, and they filled it up with a lot of not good stuff. Because how do you write 99,000 pages of good quality content that doesn't fit patterns? Doesn't fit patterns is such a key thing. If you went to some writer and you said, all right, I want roughly 300 words on each page, and it's going to kind of follow this format. And kind of Google's looking at these 99,000 pages and like, they're all roughly 350 words. They're all roughly 3 paragraphs. The first paragraph is roughly between like 100 and 125 words. The second paragraph is roughly 200 to 225 words. And the third, it's like, that's a pattern when you publish that on 99,000 pages. Do people search for your brand? This is another little thing to think about with Panda as well. If you start to type in your name, like ours, hey, we got ninjas, third down on the list. That's great. That's from people searching it. Brand is really the key, and I'll talk more about brand during this presentation, but getting brand signals to your website and turning your website into a real brand is the most important thing that you guys can do. If you guys are affiliates, like Google, how do I say? They're not a fan of affiliates. They're not. They don't like, how do I say? Because 99% of the affiliates out there are thin affiliates. They don't have anything extra. They're just grabbing from the source, producing it on their website, and that's it. And that's a thin affiliate. And Google is looking out for thin affiliates. Who here has read the Google Quality Rater Guidelines? Raise your hand. Quality Rater Guidelines. Couple. Good. Good. If you haven't, this is a confidential document. So I really shouldn't be telling you about it. But if you search Google for Quality Rater Guidelines, you might find it through Google. And if you're an affiliate and you have a website, you should be reading this document from end to end, knowing what the quality raters are looking for. Now what, there's like 10,000 quality raters at last count. And how do I say, the things that they're doing affect the algorithm. How do I say, to make a long story short on that, if you read the guidelines, you can understand what Google's having their human reviewers do, and you can understand what their algorithm is trying to do as well. If you haven't read the Quality Rater Guidelines, read them, because they talk a lot about affiliates in there and how to spot thin affiliates. All right, let's talk a little bit about pogo sticking. I'm not sure how many of you know about this, but I want to talk a little bit about pogo sticking and bounce rate. And then there's something as well called the long click, which has just been coined by a Google employee. So Panda is mostly about your content, and it's mostly lots of thin pages or near duplicate pages or pages that put up patterns, or you publish those 99,000 web pages and Google gave them a tasting period, they did really good, and then after a while they dinged them out. Could be because no one ever cited those 99,000 pages. But pogo sticking. All right, so pogo sticking is this. If someone runs a search in Google for, let's say, blue widgets, and they're looking through the top 10 results of Google, and let's say they click on number 3, and they go to the website, and they look at it for a couple seconds, and they're like, oh my God, there's ads all over the place. This looks like a made for AdSense site. I'm out of here. And they go back to that Google search after a couple seconds. That usually sends a really bad signal to Google. It tells people they didn't trust your website. Now, let's say the person goes back to that Google search and they click on number 5, and they go to the website and they look over the home page, and then maybe they go to a couple of other pages and they spend some good time on your site. And you're like, oh, this looks good. But then they go back to that Google search and they click on someone else. Again, it's a bad signal. They went back to that Google search. The third kind of response that someone could have is, let's say they go back to Google again and they click on number 7. And then they go to your website, and after they're done with your website, they go off to Twitter or Facebook. That tells Google, that's a good signal. Okay? Now, what a lot of you people are looking at is you're looking at bounce rates. And the problem is there's different types of bounces. There's good bounces and there's bad bounces. And Google doesn't show you in your control panel which ones are the good bounces or the bad bounces. And so if someone, like let's say someone searches for weather in New York City, and they go to a page and they look at it for 1 second and then they go off to Twitter, that's a good signal. It still tells Google they found what they were looking for. Now, everyone has websites that rank for weird phrases. And it used to be in the past, like, we didn't care. Let's say you're a plumber in New York City. And wow, what if you're number 3 in the whole world for plumbers? And you're like, we'll take it. At least some people are going to be from New York City. And in the past, you didn't care about it. Like, oh, well. Well, now, if all those people are going there and be like, I'm not from New York City, and they're bouncing back, you're now sending a whole bunch of really bad signals to your website. So what do you do? Well, first thing you got to do is go into your analytics and start looking at the phrases that people are using to reach your site. And then you need to ask yourself, am I serving their user intent? And if you're not, or you're not serving all of them, then you need to do something to serve them so that they don't go back to Google. So for example, if you're number 9 in the world for plumbers and you only service New York City, then maybe right on your page you should say, we service New York City. If you're not from New York City, here's 5 other great places to go and look. Here's, Service Magic. Here's, directories of plumbers. Here's something else, so that they don't go back to Google. Don't confuse what you're looking at as bounce rates and thinking that you have any idea of what's good or bad. What you really have to do is look at the phrases that people are searching for and think to yourself, am I serving those users? All right, done with Panda. Let's move on to Penguin. So, Penguin. There's supposed to be one any day now. Again, Penguin pretty much is all about your links. Yeah, there's the penguin pooping on you. If you see the picture there. All right, so did you get this dreaded email? Dear website owner, basically, it looks like you have unnatural links. There are 2 major types of penalties when we're talking about Penguin. There is an algorithmic and there's a manual. If you got a letter like this, or you have that message like I showed like at the very beginning, if you have a message, you have a manual. There's totally different, there's different solutions to a manual and an algorithmic. So if you got the letter, if you have a message inside of your webmaster console, then you have a manual. If you didn't and your traffic dropped on one of the dates of these updates, then you have an algorithmic, which means you tripped a filter. Penalized? I worked hard for those links. That's what everyone says. And I know why. I get it. It's because, your boss is saying, get me number 1 for this phrase or you're fired. Right? Yeah. And his boss is saying it too. Get me number 1 for this phrase or you're fired. And his boss is saying, get me number 1 for this phrase or you're fired. And his boss is saying it too. And all you hear is, I need to be number 1 for whatever phrase. So what did you do? Well, you got anchor text in, like this, where if you look at the most common anchor text to your site, it's like cheap widgets, discount widgets, online widgets, widget store, buy widgets. That's a flag in Google's eyes. Those are all commercial phrases that I'll talk about in a moment. On the right now, here is what a natural backlink profile were to look like if you were to be naturally getting links to your site. There would be a lot of branded type phrases and different phrases and not necessarily over-optimization of commercial phrases, which is what a lot of sites that got hit by Penguin had. They had over-optimization, in other words, too many people linking to them with an exact commercial phrase. It's not natural. Too much exact anchor text, don't be that guy. You guys don't laugh much. Come on, I'm trying here. Remember her? Yeah? Well, she got busted for doing SEO, and she's going to have to serve some hard time. Hey, thanks, guys. All right, got a little bit. All right, so if you rank for a commercial phrase, you're much more likely to be above the radar. So what's a commercial phrase? The more valuable the phrase, the more above the radar you are. So for example, coloring books, this is some screenshots from SEMrush, 3.6 thousand searches a month at 9 cents per click on average. Well, that's really not very much of a commercial phrase compared to something like internet marketing, where there's 9.9 thousand searches and the value per click is $6.08. Here's a little secret for you guys. Google's not monitoring, how do I say? You know when Google does some update and they say, only 2 to 3% of all the search results changed. Everyone's like, oh, that sounds really small. Well, guess what that 2 to 3% is? It's commercial phrases. If you're targeting a commercial phrase, that's that 2 to 3% that got hit. Google doesn't have to, how do I say, there's different types of algorithms that Google has, and Google applies special SEO sniff test filters to stuff with like commercial phrases. They don't have to put all searches and all things through these special filters. All that Google really has to police is the stuff that SEOs are targeting, commercial phrases. So I go around to all these conferences as well, and I'm also known as the link builder, content marketer today. And people always say, we only want white hat link building. Great, that sounds good. We're going to build some great content on your site and market it. And they say, well, here's the 5 phrases we're targeting. No. And then they followed up with, well, we need at least, X amount of links per month, and make sure it's got a page rank of this, and make sure they're all coming from pages right about our topic, and make sure the anchor text is blue widgets or a mix of those other commercial phrases, and we need to get these links that you're getting to go to our commercial pages. And I'm just like, oh, God, come on, what year are we in, And then they say, well, we already got the low-hanging fruit links, Jim. Oh, what's that? Say, well, we submitted to lots of directories, article syndication sites, we built profile pages, forum links, paid blog reviews, hired link builders, interlinked our own sites, and suddenly their fruit starts looking like that to me. Now, I know that years ago, Google suggested a lot of this stuff in a sense, and so times have changed, and things that were suggested, people went overboard with, and 99% of this stuff out here is crap now. Here are some few link building myths. There's no such thing as hundreds of directories. There's no such thing as hundreds of article syndication sites. No such thing as hundreds of blog reviews. No such thing as hundreds of guest posts. No such thing as hundreds of forum comments. When I hear words often that I hear at this conference as well as like blogging network, it's like, are you kidding me? I don't know. I guess people must have 2 different types of sites. I do. I have sites that I don't mind if they get burned and banned, and I'm happy to experiment with them. I do that. I'll admit it. And then I have clients that I don't want to get them banned, and some sites that I care about that it's like, either you care about your sites or you don't. And you know what? Great, if you have some sites to burn and you want to get up to #1 for these phrases, you buy a whole bunch, you do all this crap, and it's going to do great until you get banned. But if you have a site that you can't afford to lose, you can't be doing this. This stuff doesn't exist. I mentioned this a little bit as well. I'm showing that picture again because, remember when that site was 1,000 pages and then they threw on another 99,000 pages? And if you look at the original site with those 1,000 pages and you say, well, which one of their pages has backlinks to them? And you're all right, there's 20 subpages of the original 1,000 pages that have backlinks to them. And they just added 99,000 more pages to the site and none of it has any signals. When you add new pages to an old established site, Google usually likes it, so does Bing. There's something called a tasting period where they'll rank it high. You're like, ooh, publish some new pages, they're doing really good. And it's like for a few months, you're in this tasting period and Google is looking at all these signals, bounce backs, and they're looking at all these different signals. And if after a couple months your stuff doesn't have stellar signals and no one's ever mentioned or cited those 99,000 pages, suddenly those pages go way down. And you're like, what happened? I published a bunch of new pages. They did good for a while and then they went down. That's why. And here's an engineer from Google and he's mapping your links and smile. Yeah. Blog networks? Are you guys kidding me? I heard that phrase so many times in the past few hours that I've been here. Like, you don't think Google maps that stuff? I mean, yeah, maybe if you got a site to burn, hey, play with it. But it's like, it's not too hard. I have done more disavows than probably anyone in the entire world. I shit you not. Really. For, how do I say, like, when Penguin first came out, it's like, I'm the link guy, and it's like, oh, wow, it's finally an update about links and bad links, and, you know, people started to come to us. I started to speak about it, write about it for years. That was one of my main topics. A lot of people come to us, hey, I've been hit, can you help? All right, we're going to analyze your backlinks. I've used all the free tools out there, the remove them, the link detox. There's a couple of others out there. I've tried them all. They didn't satisfy me because they were only showing part of the picture. And too many people are like looking at it and being like, oh, this is red and toxic, that's bad, you know, and it's like, are you kidding me? It's a Girl Scout website, you know, there's like 20 links to it. It's certainly natural. That Girl Scout website has nothing to do with SEO. It's all natural. Don't you dare mark that as toxic. And then they'll take some other site and it's like bright green, like this is a good link. And you're like, are you kidding me? This site got banned 2 years ago. Like, no, you can't press a button and just be like, this is good or bad, or trust anyone's tools. I built 27 tools all around the topic of analyzing backlinks. There's only one that's public that I'll show you. The others are all private, but like looking at some of the things that the other tools don't do that you need to look at are things like, you know, like we pull down all your backlinks, and then we look at all the backlinks to go to those sites that link to you and start looking for patterns in there. Oh my God, it's surprising some of the stuff. It's like, and I know that Google's looking at this stuff too, but none of the other free, I better move on, but. All right. So yeah, you don't want that to happen to you. You got to clean up your backlinks. You know, even if you haven't been hit, I would recommend doing a disavow. I've done my own disavow. Christ, I pulled down my site's links from Google and I'm like, someone must be trying to get me banned. That's what everyone says too. And I'm saying to myself, I didn't get all those backlink texts with all those exact match anchor links. It's like, we all got them. There's going to be scrapers. There's going to be other junk in there. If you haven't been affected by an update, then what I would recommend is a very mild disavow. You want to get rid of the worst of the worst. I wouldn't want to go in and start removing things that, are going to have your rankings drop, but you could at least do a little bit of a cleanup in there and submit a disavow to get rid of the worst of the worst. So if you've been hit, you know, if you've been hit by the manual, then you have to write a letter to Google and ask for forgiveness. If anyone has ever gone through that process, I feel for you. I've gone through that process a lot. And it's kind of like Google has some random wheel that they spin when you submit it, and they're like, you know, yes or no, and there's only a couple of yeses and most no's. And it's like, Christ, I've removed everything. I had to do one reconsideration where I said, I've disavowed everything that you show me in Google Webmaster Tools except for these 18 links that I 100% can vouch every one of those 18 links is natural. Came back, no. Come on, are you kidding me? I won't go into the process, but you just keep going back and forth. You don't sit around and wait for months. Hell no. You keep doing pulling down the backlinks, analyze them, upload a disavow. I'll do it every week with Google. I know that sometimes they say you shouldn't submit it within 2 weeks. F that. Like, you know, if you're hit, you want to get out as soon as possible. And I think that part of it is there's a time period baked into it as well. And then I think there might be a number of times you submitted a reconsideration request. Like, I will go back and forth if it's a manual. I would rather a manual than an automatic, because a manual, at least I can go back and forth with. But if you're sitting for months on a manual and not doing anything, you're nuts. You're losing money every day. All right. You got to do things to improve your site, to your users, and then, you know, do better for your brand. Google has said this stuff for years, and I'm a hardcore old school SEO, and Google would be like, great, all you got to do is build a great site. And we'd turn around and laugh and be like, are you kidding me? It's all about exact match anchor text links. Like, who are they fooling? But it's like, they've caught up to it now. You really can't play that game anymore. You can if you have a site to burn, but if you don't, you can't play that game anymore. And Google's looking at a lot more things that I better start talking about here. Yes. All right. Hey, if you want some free tools, and there's a free tool to check your backlinks for doing a disavow, here's a free tool that we have. freetools.webmasterworld. This presentation as well will be uploaded probably tomorrow morning. I realize no one's at the office today, but tomorrow morning we'll have this presentation will be uploaded here as well. All right, let's go into some other updates. The payday loan update. The payday loan update wasn't just payday loans. It's commercial phrases. There's a whole patent that this was written off of. Bill Slosky, after that patent came out, he wrote an interesting article about it. But in any case, the payday loans is not just payday loans. It's commercial phrases. If you want to be in the first page for, I don't know, cheap anything, the word cheap is something that I've pretty much banned from sites. Like, the word cheap is a huge red flag. It's an SEO phrase. If you have it in a bunch of your title tags, I wouldn't be surprised if you get hit by the next update here. Cheap is it's a great word. There's a lot of search volume, but it's kind of that commercial phrase thing that Google says, let's put this through a couple of SEO sniff tests. All right, we talked about the commercial phrases. Page layouts. All right, so I mean, I am guilty in the past of creating tons of made-for AdSense sites. Made a lot of money with that. In fact, you know, everyone used to follow this chart. This chart was actually created by Google. It's the recommendation of where you should put your Google AdSense. And so this is what everyone did. Hey, if you want to make a lot of money, you put the great big squares above the fold. That's how you get more click-throughs and make more money. And Google says this is where I should put it. But if you do it now, times have changed, you know, you're going to get hit by the page layout update. Too many ads above the fold. Unless you're Google. Ha 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 ha. Unless you're Google. All right. It must be near lunchtime. All right, so local shift, Pigeon. Man, if you're targeting local, it's a tough one. They're going through lots of big changes in how they do that. And I know that a lot of people that have dealt with with Pigeon, they feel like the Pigeon's been pooping on them recently. There's just a lot of changes. I'm not going to have time to get into a lot of these, but with local, review websites are extremely helpful. Places like Yelp, TripAdvisor, Foursquare, the Google reviews, OpenTable, Urban Spoon, like real review sites, not Johnny's review site, you know, something that you've heard of, you know, and those are the types of sites where, you know, your reputation and your reviews have an influence on Google's rankings. This is part of what Google is looking at. And on a side note, if you're not responding to reviews, look at what people are saying about you and respond. Everyone here looks at reviews, and if the reviews are bad, we go away. I don't mind if there's a bad review and the owner comes in and responds to it. And the owner says, blah, 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 and we'll do everything to take care of you. I'm like, great, I'll stay there. But so many of my clients, like, oh yeah, review, you know, like they're talking about you here and here and here. Yeah, do something about it. This is part of your SEO. Oh, this can affect my rankings in Google? Yes. All right, maybe we'll look into that now. Good, thank you. You're losing money besides that. Hummingbird was a whole different, shift in a sense in how Google looks at things, connecting people and places, and you know, this kind of leads into some other areas. The knowledge graph expansion update, in-depth articles, author photo drop, the whole author removal, August 28th. There's a lot of people that, well, I'll get into that in a second. Let's talk about Wikipedia, because Wikipedia has a big role in, in rankings. There are no followed links, but Google and their knowledge graph, certainly one of the places that they go to first is Wikipedia. And so we have a lot of people that are like, Jim, you know, can you write us a wiki page? And, you know, the whole problem is are you Wikipedia worthy? I can write you a page, of course, and I can submit it, of course. And then after a few weeks, it's going to get deleted, of course. And then when you try and submit it the next time, they're going to see that history as well and be like, this smells like an SEO. So before you think of creating a Wikipedia page, the first thing you need to ask yourself is our site worthy? And if not, then spend a year marketing your site, doing a whole bunch of cool stuff that gets big places to talk about your website. If you don't have references from major other websites and major other publications, you're not going to get in the Wikipedia. And so before you think about submitting the Wikipedia, you have to ask yourself, is our site worthy? And if it's not, then say, all right, our goal is next year to be able to submit something to the Wikipedia that's going to stick. And between now and next year, we're going to do a whole bunch of real PR things to get mentioned by major places. PageRank. Let's talk about author rank as well. So look, hey, PageRank is dead. Get over it. If you don't even mention PageRank near me, you're welcome to get a backhand. Like, stop. There is no, PageRank is dead. Don't look at the green bar. It's for entertainment purposes only. They haven't updated it like in 2 years, and it doesn't mean squat as far as rankings go. Stop looking at it. But let's talk a little bit about author rank. Now, unfortunately, there's not an author rank bar, so you can't go across the web and see people's author rank. But remember how I mentioned in a couple of the updates that Google Plus is going through a whole bunch of changes, maybe completely dying right now. And a lot of people confuse what's going on with Google Plus with author rank. And they're two completely different things. So the day that Google dropped showing the authorship in the search results, there was a great post by Danny Sullivan that day. And he says, the answer is that Google has other ways to determine who it believes to be an author of a story if it wants. In particular, Google is likely to look for visible bylines that often appear in news stories. These existed before Google authorship, and they aren't going away. Now, let me just explain that real quickly. When Google is spidering the web, there's 4 patents on authorship. They're worth reading. And just because they have a patent does not mean that they're using everything from it. I know. But let me explain it a little bit. So Google is spidering the web, going from page to page to page. And every time they hit a web page, they're looking for these things called keys that can identify that a page was written by a particular person. A key could be, by Jim Boykin. That's a big key. Someone's name, the word by followed by 2 words that start with a capital letter. If I have a unique email that is on the page, like Jay Boykin and Internet Marketing Ninjas, like Google's like, unique email, this is that person. If I have a link to a social media profile, if I have the Meta author tag in there, not the Google one, but there's certain things that Google looks for, and if they come across a page and they say, I think that this page was written by Jim Boykin, that page goes into another index at Google, like another set of computers, another algorithm, and everything in there are all the documents that Google feels they can attribute to a specific person. And for every person who has stuff published or has stuff in there, every person has an author rank. And that author rank is based a lot on how many documents does Google feel that that person has authored, and how many other sites or other signals are pointing to those documents that that person has written, and how trusted are those sites and those places, and are there other known authors that have cited this author as well, and what's their author score? So, in essence, the more pages, so if you have a great author, you don't want to throw them, like let's say that original site, that 1,000-page website, let's say they had a blog on it, and they've got some guy blogging on it, and maybe 100 of those pages are blog posts, and that person decides to put that authorship on all 100,000 pages of the website. Google says, all right, this guy's written 100,000 pages, and only 5 of their pages have ever received any kind of citations, whether links or social or otherwise. And that author has a really crappy score. So like if you've got a blogger and you're like, just write something every day, we need fresh content. Like, no, your author score is going to go in the pooper. It'd be much better to write like one thing a month that's of high quality that's going to get some signals to it. We're all authors. So here's another thing. So like Google, it used to be all about links. If you wanted to rank in Google, it's link. Of course, there's content, but links is the big thing. And links is still the big thing. If you're doing SEO and you're not doing anything to get other people to mention you, you're not doing SEO. But here's the other thing. So Google's gone beyond links though. Still, it used to be the 800-pound gorilla. Now maybe it's the 700-pound gorilla. And part of the things that are working their way into the system is, Google is basically connecting sources, influencers, industries. They're mapping out people. Anything that they can connect, they're connect. They are looking for who are the influencers and which way are signals going. Like if I tweet Matt Cutts and I say, hey, Matt Cutts, and then Google sees, all right, Matt Cutts is an influencer to Jim because Jim has mentioned him. And how do I say, everyone here is aware that Google now has direct access to the Twitter fire hose. So it's like they used to scrape everything before, now they have direct access. Everyone here has to realize like Twitter signals are going to be playing more a role in Google's algorithm. Right now it's very little, but I think we all project it's going to be more of a role. So where was I? If Matt Cutts tweets back, hey Jim, I'm doing great today, then it's kind of like a reciprocal link. Matt's mentioning me now. Okay, so part of all that stuff that, is all being mapped out. Google's mapping out not just websites like they used to in the past, they're mapping out people and the connections between people. So for example, this is one of our forums we have on SEO chat. Here's like my bio page. And on my bio page, I link to my Facebook, my Twitter, my Google+, Pinterest, LinkedIn. And so here's also on Webmaster World. We've added all these into it. So for example, here's a post on Webmaster World. And in a sense, Google knows who all these people are now, because Google can follow it and go to the profile page. So if we have a post where there's a lot of, in a sense, influencers talking, that's going to do a lot better in the SERPs than where there's a bunch of new beginners talking. All right, more updates. HTTPS SSL update August 6th. Really hasn't been a whole lot of talk about it because people haven't really seen a whole lot of changes. In the end, I guess I would recommend making sure that your site is HTTPS. Not a big thing though, but could be bigger later. Phantom updates, no-name updates, multi-week updates, etc. I could go on and on with all these updates. But you need not fear any one in particular. Just make your site great. I'll talk a little bit about that. How am I doing on timing? All right. So there's Matt Cutts. He's a Google engineer, his little penguin. And he says that links as a measurement are not going away. In fact, says, turns out that backlinks, like even though there's some noise and there's certainly a lot of spam, for the most part are still a really, really big win in terms of quality for search results. They actually had a Google employee guy who built, he modified the search engine. They have he had his own project to modify Google's search engine on the side and to try not include links as a measurement. And the results sucked, so they stopped it. And that's what he's actually referring to on here. So what is it that you can do to send the good signals to the search engine? So now we're going to get into more of the meaty good stuff. All right, so Matt Cutts says, the objective is not to make your make your links appear natural. The objective is that your links are natural. It's true nowadays. So what are some good signals? So Google and the other engines will always trust what others say about you more than what you say about you. So you have to get others to talk about you to earn trust in the eyes of the engines. This comes first before anything else. All of your great design, your programming, your usability, your conversion optimization, your on-page optimization, and everything else is going to be worthless if others aren't talking about you. The more people and sites that talk about you, the higher you're going to rank in the engines. That's my own quote. All right. I need more emotion from you guys. I'm all hyped up. All right, so what are some solutions? Create digital assets that can bring you shares, likes, tweaks, pluses, pins, links, traffic, brand mentions, etc. Let's go over some of these. So these are the things that send the great signals to search engines and bring in the higher rankings. So here's some different types of digital assets. So we have the quizzes. First one on there is a quiz. We do lots of quizzes. The second one on there on the top middle, that's it's a widget. And if you saw it live, the numbers would actually be spinning. And we built this about 5 years ago. And we did about a month of marketing and promoting it. And I don't know, maybe we got 20 or 30 links to it. Just saying, hey, here's a great national debt clock. The scary thing is when we started that, the national debt was at $9 trillion. And that was like 5 or 6 years ago. That's how scary. But anyway, I won't get into that. But all right, but the cool thing is if we go and we look at that page on the client's website, which has this widget on it, there's now over 2,000 people linking to it. We have links from senators, from people running for Congress, from political bloggers, just all sorts of people. We're like, put this widget on your site, and they do. I did a little promotion the first month, and since then, thousands of links have come in without ever having to ask for them. And I love links, and free ones are even better that I don't even have to ask for. Awards. Here's an award for being inspirational. Who can't give other people awards for being inspirational? People put the awards on their website. This site gave me an award, and they're going to link to it. Maybe they'll even put the award on their website, and that award's going to link to your page talking about the awards. Contest. All right, let's get into more specific examples. So what are different types of digital assets? And here's the thing. If you're not adding value pages to your site, you're in trouble. You've got to constantly be creating new things onto your website that are getting signals. You can't just have, here's 1,000 products. You're not going to go anywhere. And if you're like, well, we're just going to do a couple of little promotions, it's like, hell no. You need to have a whole content schedule. What are we doing this month? What are we doing next month? What are we doing the following month? Like, we need to constantly be coming up with new stuff for our website so that people are constantly talking about us. It's not run out and get 1,000 links and you're done. No. PDFs, slideshows, presentations, ebooks, white papers, polls, Q&As, forms, communities, Excel documents, Word documents, pictures, recording Google Hangouts, videos, video transcripts, podcasts, blog posts, tools, widgets, contests, apps, in-depth articles. These are all just some examples of some of the things you can add to your website to make it a value add. And you have to have a value add. You cannot be a thin affiliate. Free tools. So we create a whole bunch of free tools. Why? Well, I'm a nice guy. I like to give out free tools, and it just so happens a lot of people link to them and give me free mentions and tweet about them. I'm happy to give away free tools. You know how many links I've generated from the tools that I built for free without even having to ask for a link? A blog. I have really good bloggers. I got Ann Smarty. If you're in the SEO industry, you know who Ann Smarty is. My God. And it's like we're writing stuff that's good quality. We're not just throwing stuff out there. And so many clients I talk to, they're like, yeah, we got a blog. I'm like, how's it going? And I don't think it's doing very good. I don't know. I'm like, well, who's blogging for you? Well, we got the night maintenance guy and is doing it Thursdays and the secretary's doing it Wednesdays. And it's like they're just talking to the air to no one. And it's like, no, I know you heard at one point you need a blog and you need fresh content, but you're not doing any good. You're not building up any author trust. You're just adding pages to your site that don't have signals to them. Guides and how-tos are wonderful things. Here's part 1 of 3 by Bonnie Stefanik. Guides and how-tos are great. The searches for how-tos on the web have gone through the roof. Everyone can write some how-tos. Contests. We do lots of contests as well. That gets a buzz. We even do surveys as well for money. All right, so another thing. Who knows what the second most searched website? No, I should say, yeah, the second most searched website. Anyone know offhand? Bingo, YouTube. People forget. So many times people are like, Bing. No, YouTube, way more. Are you in YouTube? Google owns YouTube. You don't think they're looking at those signals? Come on, they are. And it's like if you're producing crap videos, again, it's like creating that hollow author. So create some fun, entertaining, or how-tos, be creating videos. Our digital assets. We have the Jim and Ann show that we started up a couple of months ago. And we record it, we put it on YouTube. We put it on iHeartRadio. We put it on one of the other podcast sites. We transcribe it. We do a blog post from it. And we upload it to YouTube. It's like one 20-minute conversation of me and Ann gets put on about 10 different places for people to find it. Here's one on how to get out of Google penalty hell. 3 billion searches per month. Number might be a little bit outdated. Uploading presentations are a good thing as well. Communities. Well, if you can build a community on your website, you're gold. You're gold if you can build a community on your website. You have all these return visitors to your site giving you free content. And Google loves that stuff if you manage it. Communities are awesome if you can build one. Quizzes. You see the stuff on Facebook all the time. Here's one that we did, what kind of kisser are you quiz. And then start the quiz and you go through and you answer a bunch of questions, and at the end it says, I'm the smooth operator, take the kissing quiz or whatever. So it's like, you get the result, people share this. Hey, I'm the smooth operator or whatever. You should take the kissing quiz too. And it's like, and this picture is also, when we put it on Pinterest, it links straight to the quiz. And it's like, people love sharing this stuff. I know it's goofy, but you see it all the time, and all that stuff is signals, and you need signals. Widgets. I talked a little bit about our national debt clock. I mean, this is how simple can you get? Count down to the days of Halloween. Widgets don't have to be great big complicated things. And people put these on their site. And when they do, it gives you a link back. I talked about the national debt clock. If there's anyone in here that's a programmer, this is a great slide to get a whole bunch of information on how to build a lot of different types of widgets. Contest. Create guides and learning materials. Ebooks are a great thing. Cheap. Here's a couple of ours. In-depth articles. I'm not going to have time to talk about the in-depth articles, but here's some example titles of some in-depth articles. All of you can write in-depth articles. And then you can go to freetools.webmasterworld.com and you can get the schema code so that you now can show up in the in-depth articles. If you have an author, wouldn't it be great if they've published some in-depth articles? Pictures. Pictures are huge. Oh my God. In fact, I think I read something yesterday that it said that something like 84% of pictures on Facebook get signals, second only to, I think, regular posts or something that were at 4%. It's huge. Here's some stats here. Most popular shared content on social media by far, pictures, way more than my opinion. Status updates on what I'm doing. It's kind of funny because some people, I go to their Facebook or their Twitter and it's like, we have a big sale on this week. The stuff on here, that doesn't even appear on the chart. Come on, are you kidding? We have some travel websites and we put up pretty pictures. And they get hundreds of shares and stuff for a pretty picture. And it's like, we're doing it and so is the company. And so the company's big sale and it's silence. And we're like, look at this pretty picture. And it's all these signals. It's that's what you got to be doing. Popular emotions as well. So awe's the biggest thing. Put a picture of a cute cat somewhere. People love it. Oh. Anger, laughter, amusement, joy, empathy, sadness, surprise, and other. And I think people look at the other and they're like, we got a big sale on this week. This is what we're going to tweet about. No. Awards and badges. I mean, Christ, here's one on the bottom right. You've been nominated. And then people put I shouldn't laugh, but people put these things on their site, the things even Google has awards and badges. Can you come up with ideas for awards and badges for your website? Best Teacher of the Year award, and nominate 100 teachers and send them all your you've been nominated award thing. And then, in the end, choose 10 and give them, they're like, come on, people love it. Infographics still can do incredibly well. These things go viral. They do wonderful on Pinterest as well. We have done some of these that have just gone huge in number of links. We've had George Takei has posted one of our infographics. Huffington Post, Playboy, Washington Post, like they have their own life of their own. If you have a good infographic, and it's like you need to have a good infographic, is something that, how do I say, has a chance to go viral. It's not some boring, here's how to use our product thing. You know, it's going to be something of interest. And if you, they're really cool because if you have something really good and you get it out there the right way, they take on a life of their own. And it's like, suddenly they're getting signals and signals. Like when how do I say, we have news places that come to us now. What do you got? What do you got? What do you got? And like, hey, we got this, we got this. And it's like they put it on their site, which gets 1 million times more traffic than our client. And they put the infographic on their site as well. And their page is getting like 500,000 Facebook likes, 100,000 tweets, like some crazy numbers. And they have ads on their site, so they're making money. I get it. But it's like, I'll take it on that page as well because I'm getting the link from a page that has all these signals in it. In fact, I'm getting a couple links in how I do it. Here's some tools you can create your own infographics. Facebook applications are really cool as well. This is one we did, the Ninja Apocalypse, Will You Survive? I guess I had a 69 chance of surviving the Ninja Apocalypse. I should mention here on Facebook that Facebook is really not a Google signal. Facebook's kind of his own thing, but Google is not able to scrape very much information from Facebook, and because of that, what they are getting really isn't that accurate, and there's been a lot of studies out there to see if Facebook signals correlate with rankings, and so far no one has really found it. So Facebook really doesn't seem to be a Google ranking factor, but it's certainly good if you're a brand. I mean, Facebook's its own little thing, but you know, Twitter, Google+, anywhere that Google as well can scrape across the web, of course they're getting it and they're scraping it and understanding who you are and where you are across the web and who's talking about you. Polls, take polls as well. Polls are another good thing. Here's some resources on where you can do things to take polls. Polls are so great because not only is there promotion and promoting people to take the poll, but then you can go through the results and find all sorts of interesting things to blog about with the results. Christ, we did one a few weeks ago, and we asked 18 different questions. And the real purpose is, I have a client who, how do I say, they're in the medical marijuana industry. And so we asked 18 questions to a whole bunch of people, and one of the last questions was, do you smoke pot and how often? And what we really wanted, and there was a whole bunch of questions, and no one would have any idea that why we were taking the poll is because in the end we wanted to separate those that smoke and those that don't, and then look for anomalies and all these other things. How well are people sleeping? How satisfied are they with their work? How satisfied are they with their sex life? Like all sorts of crazy questions. But it's like we take that last thing, thank you, and we divided it out, and there's a whole bunch of different blog posts. Hey, according to this survey, blah, da, 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 you know, 34% more of people that smoke pot sleep better at night or something like that. You know, how do I say, you don't, half the poll and stuff you read out there aren't done by 1 million people taking a poll. They're done by SEOs that are grabbing a handful of people, running a survey, and from that you are going to get anomalies. All right, polls. Industry experts writing for you. So I've talked a little bit about, you know, don't just have someone blogging junk. You know, for example, this is Martin McDonald. I asked him to blog for our post. Here's me being interviewed over on SEO Book. So things like interviews are good as well. Promoting your social media. Whew. All right, we have this great free tool, this Google Suggest tool. It's going away on the 13th of this month because Google's doing away with this API. So I'd recommend use this tool and save the information because on the 13th you're not going to be able to use this anymore. What it is basically you can type in a word like blue widgets. And you know how if you type in blue widgets into Google, you get a drop down of all the suggestions? We grab that. That's like the top part. So this is what a search for timeshares. And so that first thing on the top left is from Google. It's the drop down. And then we do like timeshare A and grab all the drop down. And then like timeshare B and all the drop down. Like we grab all that stuff from Google. It's a really cool tool. Brainstorming titles of your link bait. Titles are a huge thing. If people don't click on what your digital asset is, it doesn't matter. So it's like, I have a couple free tools you can use. It'll help you get ideas of how to write titles that are fun and entertaining and clickable. All right, and then I have some other tools for you here to promote your digital assets, pop URLs, rad URLs, BuzzFeed. You got to make sure that your content is shareable. Like, remember at the end of the quiz where you get the badge and take the quiz as well. Outreach, in-house client emails, follower wonk, Zoom profiler. Some places to promote it are Page Stumbles, Facebook ads, promoted tweets, Google AdWords. And for syndication, there's Outbrain, Taboola, Zamantra, Pay for Awesome, and Viral Content Buzz, which is owned by Ann Smarty. All right, resources. I'm just nearly out of time here. The Jim and Ann Show. There's lots of videos, us talking about Panda and Penguin and click-through rates and all that. You can find it on YouTube, iTunes. We have our Internet Marketing Ninja blog. I'm one of the co-hosts on SEO Rockstars on iHeartRadio. We have a free Panda white paper, free Penguin white paper. You can just type that in with ninjas, you'll find it. Of course, our website, my Twitter's Jim Boykin, and read the Google Quality Rater Guidelines if you haven't yet. And I think I went right to the last minute, but I thank you guys so much. I have 2 minutes, so I probably can do a couple of questions. Thank you guys. Questions? Yes. What was that? I
had debates about this with people about the effectiveness of using PPC for SEO to get users who are engaged in your content to get to the site, and how much that could work, and whether it should be Facebook, Taboola, Twitter, what's most effective, and why and how.
The most successful, I don't know, link bait, if we call them that, campaigns that we've done were simply submitting it to Stumble Upon and Reddit. Now, mind you, we have good accounts and know people and things like that. And then it starts to get picked up by news places. Now, we do everything that I listed on here, we've used. But, how do I say when... I'm more doing it not, how do I say, the users, if someone goes into one of our infographics and it's blue widgets combined with zombie and Star Wars, and it's wow, it goes viral, it's got zombies and Star Wars in it, and it brings in a whole bunch of traffic. I more look at it from an SEO standpoint of if it brings in links and signals, I'll take it.
But isn't the signal people engage, if
yes.
10,000 people a day are buying?
Yes, certainly if they're not bouncing back from Google searches, and the more people using the, I agree that more signals of people using the site is a definite good thing. Yes, yeah, Chrome. I don't know if people still use the Google toolbar, but pretty much with Chrome, they can see things as much as the scroll reach of your documents. So everything that you put above the fold is really, really important, especially all the words you have above the fold. If you have that big scrolling thing taking up that space, ditch it, get rid of it. If you don't have any words or a paragraph of text above the fold, change your website. Everything that's above the fold counts an awful lot, that text, because everyone sees it. If you have a page a mile long, I've been told to kill it. If you got a page a mile long, that stuff on the bottom, if only 10% of the people scroll down there, the value of that content is 10%. And so, just keep in mind that content and what's above the fold, and I guess there's give and takes on everything, but so many people have that big scroll bar across the top because they're done by designers, and designers don't know jack about SEO. And all right. I think I got to end, but thank you guys very much. It's been a pleasure talking to you guys. Thank you.